Hey guys, and welcome back to Digger Gaming. My name's Ben, of course. It's a bit cold here, hence the beanie. Today we're going to be looking at Pine Gap and what it means for Australia and who the Five Eyes nations are and exactly what Pine Gap does. Pretty hard to find any information out on the topic, of course. So it might be a little bit leftist, it might be a little bit rightist. I'm not sure, but we'll check it out anyway and make up our own minds. Um, yeah, let's get started. Alright guys, so let's get into it again. I haven't watched this video yet, not sure what awaits us. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. But yeah, let's get started.
Who are the Five Eyes and why are they focusing on China? Formed during the Cold War, the Five Eyes are an intelligence sharing alliance composed of the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. It's evolved into one of the most powerful...
Okay, so that's who's in the Five Eyes. Obviously America's at the middle, and probably provides the most intelligence support to everyone else. However, as you'll see, Pine Gap is located in Australia.
Powerful intelligence monitoring systems in the world. And now they have their eyes set on the new foe.
Foreign ministers of the Five Eyes Alliance have urged China to end its crackdown on Hong Kong legislators, alluding to Beijing's move as part of a campaign to silence critics.
A Five Eyes joint statement said that China was breaching its international obligations and criticized Beijing's crackdown on Hong Kong. Here's what China said.
Not to mention the trade wars that they're waging against everybody. Building bases right next to us. They're generally being provocative to Australia and the Five Eyes nations. There's still a few. I'm not sure about Canada. I know New Zealand is still considered neutral to China. But with the AUKUS treaty, Australia, become unneutral and decided to side with our allies and America, which I'm sort of happy about.
Said it would do in response.
No matter whether they have five eyes or 10 eyes, as long as they dare to harm China's sovereignty, security, or development interests, they should be careful not to get their eyes poked out.
And it's
Nothing against the Chinese people. They're probably really nice people. I haven't met many, but the government can't be any more provocative than that. Clearly they have their own intelligence agencies. Just this week we had an supposed intelligence gathering exercise by the People's Liberation Navy with the boat just off the coast of Australia. So everyone's doing this stuff. Everyone's trying to find out what everyone's doing. Pine Gap isn't bad, and neither are the Five Eyes.
It's not just Hong Kong that has put China and the Five Eyes on a collision course. Individually,
I think China
all
put
five
themselves
countries
there.
have their own problems with China, some more than others. Take the US, for example.
China is no longer simply an economic rival to the United States. It's becoming a dangerous enemy.
They're also warning of a new threat from Communist China. The report.
So I'll just say too, the reason why they're becoming more of a threat now is they've always been pretty strong regionally, in my opinion, and have had that the forced projection to do something over on their continent. However, with their lack of aircraft carriers and their lack of the modern navy, they probably don't have that force projection to attack other countries. That's why we're seeing the South China Sea, China trying to build bases in the Solomon Islands, so that then they can have that option to strike first, or keep up the fight against us or anyone else they're trying to do harm to.
Report says China plans to double its nuclear warhead arsenal over the next decade. They also warn China is trying to match or surpass the United States as a superpower by 2049.
An eye for an eye. That's how US-China relations have been under President Trump. He's blamed China for the coronavirus pandemic. He's also slapped billions in tariffs on China.
It's important to say, while we blamed China for coronavirus, they just blamed us back. So it's just propaganda wars, really. It's hard to know what to actually believe.
Goods and launched a war against its tech companies. And Trump hasn't been shy in calling China out.
Let's say China
China. 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 The UK is pretty much on the
Not going to bash Trump here. There's no point. We don't have him in. He's not in politics anymore anyway, so.
same page with the US when it comes to confronting China, especially over its former colony, Hong Kong.
And where not so long ago diplomats were heralding a golden era in relations, things have now become fraught between Britain and China. The UK government today responded to the imposition of Beijing's national security law on Hong Kong by suspending an extradition treaty with the territory and adding it to an arms embargo.
And down under, relations with China were tense in 2020, especially after Australia requested an independent inquiry into the origins of COVID.
That's one thing I'm happy that ScoMo did. We don't want to look like the weak nation, and to be honest, it's hard to tell, but the virus did come from China, and it would be of the rest of the world's interest to have an inquiry as to how it started, where it started exactly, but yeah, we're obviously never going to have that.
19. Beijing retaliated by targeting Australia's lucrative exports to China.
Yeah, they went way over the top for a throwaway remark from Scott Morrison. It was literally probably a throwaway remark with no real intent behind it, and China went nuts.
Valued at $150 billion. Everything from barley, wine, and coal was slapped with tariffs of up to 200%. And a month doesn't go by without either side offending the other.
Welcome back, China.
Yeah, there was some coal shipments from Australia that literally sat off the coast of China for I think 6 to 12 months, just waiting for China to accept the cargo.
China has lashed out at Australia over its complaint to the World Trade Organization. It is now threatening to, quote, disregard relations if Canberra doesn't correct supposed wrongdoings against Beijing.
Scott Morrison fronted the cameras to demand an apology.
Yep, this picture here pissed me off, something shocking when I first saw it, but some more senior military personnel sat me down and explained that's exactly what the China wanted me to do. It's clearly not real. It's psychological warfare.
Over an inflammatory tweet by a Chinese government official, the fake image showing an Australian soldier holding a bloodied knife to the throat of an Afghan child, a reference to the Brereton war crimes inquiry.
It is deeply offensive.
But luckily for Australia, its guardian angels have been watching.
Australia's security allies that make up the Five Eyes group are reportedly in talks on how to help the Australian government respond to China's aggressive trade tactics.
And for Canada, carrying out an arrest warrant for the US led to a furious response from China.
Now it's emerged that...
I mean, let's not forget the Uyghur Muslims that have just vanished. It's up to like 3 million. So we're talking literally about people that have vanished from a country. Much like Nazi Germany, and no one's asked. I think Scott Morrison asked for where the people were, but they just seem to be getting away with it. I'm not anti-China by any means. I'm anti-CCP, I guess, and the way that they're treating Australia. As always, the people themselves are probably nice. It's just the government that I'm talking about here.
That Meng Wanzhou has been in custody in Canada for days. US authorities appear to be seeking her extradition on charges of helping Huawei violate the US trade embargo against Iran.
China retaliated by slapping tariffs on Canadian goods. It also detained and indicted 2 Canadian citizens in China on espionage charges. When a reporter asked how China viewed hostage diplomacy, China's foreign ministry spokesman said, "You better ask the Canadian government what hostage diplomacy is."
Okay, so just on that one, clearly that wasn't a hostage diplomacy. The Canadian government wanted to get rid of the woman for, whatever happened with Huawei. I can't pronounce it. Huawei. The possibility of using their phones as spy equipment and whatnot. I don't think that's too much to ask. If the government has arrested this lady and asked for deportation of her, then they're sending her back to the country. So it's not hostage at all. It's China's propaganda.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also had harsh words for Beijing.
not just to Canadians, but to people around the world who see China using arbitrary detentions as a means to political ends, which is absolutely unacceptable.
As for 2021, it seems the Anglosphere's rivalry with China will only deepen, with analysts predicting the world is entering a new Cold War.
If this new type of...
I mean, I am not a geopoliticist. I'm not a politician. I've got no background in it, but it is pretty clear to see that this is Cold War 2.0. A little bit worse so, with Russia going off and, you know, invading whoever the hell they want. Will we see China do this with Taiwan? I really hope not. I really hope that the world comes to its senses soon and we don't start banning these nationalistic countries with, you know, views of our own country and not worrying about others. Scary times.
If Cold War escalates, it could impact the cost of our goods by disrupting the global supply chain. And countries may be forced to take sides.
It's no secret that if a Cold War does emerge, the US's strongest allies will be the other eyes. And if you look at them closer, you'll see that they have deep secrets.
In 2013, whistleblower Edward Snowden revealed that members...
So I think everyone except for New Zealand has stopped being neutral to China, I think. And that's because they're a much smaller country with a much smaller defence force, and they probably can't afford to piss China off too much until they're sort of forced into it.
...had been spying on each other's citizens to avoid their own domestic regulations.
As a result of changes since September 11, 2001, the Five Eyes Alliance is now capable of capturing virtually every phone conversation, email, internet search or social media entry in the world.
If hindsight is 2020...
Again, that someone said that with no references or no real... nothing to back up that claim. So it's a bit of fear-mongering. I don't know if they can... I mean, who knows? Who knows what they can do exactly, but I don't think they're going to be able to switch your phone on and, you know, turn your camera on and see what you're doing at any stage of the day, so, yeah.
That year could prove to be a turning point in the Anglosphere's confrontation with the rising Asian power. Although it might be hard for China to poke out all Five Eyes, no one is doubting Beijing will turn a blind eye.
Alright guys, so what do you think? The video's a bit older, but it's interesting to see that a lot of the stuff predicted back then is sort of taken into fruition now. I hope that explains who the Five Eyes are and what Pinegap does, and who they're focusing at the moment. Let me know guys, it's a pretty politically charged conversation, but yeah, let's have it, and I'll see you next video.